Damn it!
Jesus.
I did it way too late.
Way too late.
That was the way to start this podcast. Was like Leff talking about a catheter.
Well, we're
And then I
recording
said,
now.
welcome to the Agile Uprising podcast.
We're already recording. Half of this donkey show will make it live, and now at least I haven't said anything completely embarrassing yet.
Yet.
Wait, didn't you just hear what you just said?
That wasn't embarrassing at
Donkey
all.
show is a scientific reference. That's works.
Fair. That's fair.
That's a thing. It's a thing. We'll Google it.
Yeah, this is it. We've started it. We've started the Agile Uprising podcast. I am, unfortunately, I volunteered to facilitate this, which means shit's going to go down. And we have a very special guest that I'm waiting till the very, very, very end to introduce. So before we talk about what we're going to do, I have a murderer's row of Agile Uprising board members. Starting with the mustached two men, Andy Cleff, what's up?
Hey, brother. It's been a long time.
And then the conquistador facial hair twin, Andrew Leff. How are you?
Still follically challenged, but doing well, thanks.
No, if there's anything that you're challenged by, it's not the hair on you. You have a much longer list. All right, so going from left to right in the facial hair now, Brad Stokes, how are you?
I'm well. Hey.
I don't know that she has more facial hair than you, but I'm choosing to do her. Not announce her. That would be a better way to record it. Hello, Janee. Welcome to the party.
I'm excited. Looks like it could be great.
Yep.
Or disaster.
Let's see. Jay Hrcsko, I think you have a little less facial hair than the last dude.
Yes, a little less.
I love what you named yourself in this specific. I
gotta remember that I changed that because I'm gonna go on to some job interview and it's gonna come up as Jay Horsenuts and I'm not gonna get hired, or I'm gonna get hired.
That's how you pronounce your last name.
I don't know. It could go either way in this juncture. I mean,
can
if they
I
hire
just
me
say
saying that?
Can I just say that's not the reason why you're not getting the job? If I could, not what you named yourself in the Zoom. James Gifford, are you Lone Star or Barf in this particular scenario?
I'm definitely Barf, and I'm glad to see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
He's his own best.
Well, if there's anything that we can say about a Schwartz is that they're growers, not showers, right? So, I can't think of a better
PG-13 rating.
I was gone before that when you said your name was Jay Horsenuts. Can I just say that like now is the exact point in time where we should say, holy God, whose music is that? It's Colleen Johnson's. She made it on a podcast. What's up, girl?
I'd like to say I missed you all, but I'm not for sure.
Yes,
I'm not so sure. Well, there's a ringing endorsement.
That's
Good to be back.
Also Jay with the Willie Nelson cough. That's a. Are you okay there, buddy? Thumbs up from Jay.
For the listeners, listeners here.
Yeah,
great audio. That was good audio.
This is an absolute audio medium, just so that we're clear. I don't know that we're aware of this. 100% audio medium. So the reason why we're gathered together as a board is we were talking about the podcast, the topic we've had in the last year, the last 2 years. I don't know if y'all have known this, but there's a pandemic going on and we haven't seen each other like we used to. So we've just been podcasting about all sorts of random shit all over the place, right? So we were saying, like, what do we want to do next? Is the Agile thing still working? Do we just call ourselves like the Uprising? Like, do we care about fringe topics that are Agile adjacent? And so I thought, wouldn't it be great if we all just came on and have a chat and said, these are different ideas we had. You all can tell us what you think. If you haven't joined our Discord, you need to. But if you have, now's where you listen and go, oh, y'all haven't talked about this. I'd love this, or I'd love that kind of a thing. So, Jay, I'm going to start it with you. What do you think? What do you like that we do, and what do you think that we don't do?
I like the fact that we cover a lot of ground, right? I like the fact that we do an episode weekly. I like the fact that when we rotate through different hosts, we get a lot of different opinions and a lot of different things that could be said. I think if in hindsight, in thinking forward, I mean, I definitely think we should get more voices involved in the dialogue. Not so many, and I'm a victim of this because I scheduled a lot of this shit, not so many interviews and talking to people about their books, but more collaborative conversations where we have more than just us in the room discussing the topic du jour.
Right.
I kind of feel like I saw, for listeners, we were supposed to have this last week and we had to postpone because people couldn't make it. And I took some time to do some thinking. And I just think that, I think we kind of got away inadvertently from some of the stuff that made us stand out at the beginning. A lot of that, witty repartee and the back and forth, it kind of, and I'm as much the cause of this as anybody, is we kind of got well into the, such and such has a new book. Let's interview them. And not the collaborative conversation stuff that I think kind of made us stand out at the beginning. Granted, that was 5 years ago, funnily enough, but
I thought we stood out just because, like, Lockard started meeting people and just said, "Can I interview you?"
That got us through year one.
It's true. I love a pixelated laugh from Jay.
It did.
Okay, Leff. I'm going to switch it up because there's no way we're going to be able to everybody answer that. So, Leff, what are some things that we've done in the last year and a half that, like, you thought we did well? Like, what do you think are some stuff we did well?
Jeez. I mean, I think we've kept, not to be squishy, but we've kept supporting each other as a group and as a community. I think the engagement on Discord has been astonishing, in my opinion. The amount of people that have contributed to keeping that going and the amount of growth that we've seen over the past year, it has far exceeded any expectations I had. And I think that even just still continuing to produce content and get feedback and still have people interested in hearing some of the nonsense we put out, as well as some of the great content, I think is a testament to just, you downplayed it a little bit, Jay, when you were giving your response. This has been an incredible amount of work that everyone has dedicated time, effort, and thought into, right? It's messy. We're a bit of a, scrappy group, for lack of a better term, but I am incredibly honored to continue to participate with such a group that is invested as much as day one as 5 years later, and has seen such growth and has, I believe, has been acknowledged in the community as influencers and disruptors in the way that, we can't always show up at work that way. So I think this has provided an outlet for me personally, and hopefully for others, to show up the way authentically we sometimes can't show up at work professionally.
Yeah, well, there's not quite the space that we hope we're trying to make. So again, bouncing back and forth, Colleen, why have we sucked since you left? I mean, like, I know you have a laundry list of things that we're not doing well. Like, what's wrong with us?
Well, the only person I've talked to, I think, since I left, other than Janee, is Andy Cleff.
That is not true.
Oh, no, maybe Giff.
I have talked to you.
But it's true. You send me random pictures once in a while.
Yeah, that's fine. That's talking, right? Or is that not talking? My bad.
It counts. No, I think what you guys are just saying makes a lot of sense. I think part of the space that we've always filled well is that, we normalize a lot of what feels like it's not normal for people at work, like the stuff that sucks, where you feel like this isn't working and I'm doing something wrong and Agile sucks and it's never going to work here. And I'm a shitty Scrum Master, or I can't figure out how to, I don't understand what my role is. I think we had a lot of raw conversation about that to make a ton of people feel like they weren't alone. And, I think, Jay, what you were saying too, I think the more the conversation shifts to only interviewing experts, the more you lose that. And so if there's one thing that's always been our secret sauce, it's humanizing this experience in a way that I think is really relatable for a lot of people.
It's funny. I was in my mind, I said, man, I don't know what my role is. That's a great podcast. And I thought, no, that's the next series. That's not a single podcast topic. That's a settle down. We need to put some time in on this. Okay, so the only person that's not in the United States on this call, Brad Stokes. I'm curious from your perspective, right? So everybody globally is not always on Twitter and they're not always on LinkedIn, right? So it's impossible for us to have a collective community discussion. So in your mind, what are some things that us Yanks don't always get, or maybe we're not focused? I don't mean to make it so globally, and I'm sorry that you're from only one country just like we are. I'm just thinking well, what are we missing, right? Is there something that's just US based about it? Is there something that we need to see bigger?
I don't think we're just US based. I mean, some of the stuff that we've got to talk to is people like Hrcsko, who are based in Sweden. We've talked to Dave Allen, who's, again, Stockholm, I think, is where he lives. The stuff that we face in our workplaces aren't necessarily tied to a geographical location. Rural healthcare may absolutely bite us, but, other than that, the US in the workplace is pretty similar. Sorry, the Canadians and the Aussies are just going, yeah, you don't want it. But look, shame where it's due. But when it comes to actually working in an IT company or working in software or working in marketing, the challenges that we face are pretty similar. The questions that we ask are similar. Aussies tend to be a little bit more laid back. We're not quite so religious on stuff, but you still get you guys that have religion and, Scrum is the only way, Kanban's the only way. Oh, all hail the God of Agile. Reality is it's not. The stuff that I think connects with people is when we actually, as just people dealing with crap in the workplace, talk about it. I mean, the shows I love, the shows that I think connect the best are the ones where we all come on and say, well, we're really struggling with this. Let's have a chat. I mean, the meme show we did just last week, I think we put it out, I wasn't expecting anything from that. And I ended up having a brilliant conversation with two people that gave me tons of insight. And it was just, I had a batshit crazy idea and somebody went along with it. And it turned out to be a great conversation. We've had a number of those. That's when we show what's good. I mean, when we fill it up with the author, it's okay. And sometimes we get some really interesting people on, but sometimes it's just no, I'll take the pass.
Yeah, I think that's if I had to say what we're known for, right? There's plenty of podcasts where you can have witty repartee with people sitting around the table, but you don't know which week, which one of us are showing up. Members of our Discord community. You mentioned the religious part of what we do. There is I was thinking there's a poster on Discord, great gent named Don, that he's always talking about the religious aspect of what we do. There is a bit of religion and dogma built into that. I love the podcast where we basically just talk about stuff that we want to talk about in future podcasts. So I guess I should write that down. But there's so much that we just stumble upon, we just discover, right? Jay, what was the podcast where it just started with you laughing? And I think it was not long after the pandemic started where we hadn't talked in a while.
Isn't that every other one with Jay?
Yeah, no.
He literally stared at the camera.
Where I lost my mind. I lost my mind.
I made a face. I made a
couldn't
face
start.
and he started laughing. And then he started laughing at himself laughing. And it was so fun, like, because I'd like took over
business agility.
Yeah.
Well, I
started.
think so. Everybody's made the good point about how we probably shouldn't concentrate so much on authors and published brouhahas and people with LLCs making all that money. And I think one of the reasons why we went down that path is because, and I know we're doing a lot of like opening the Komodo and being real here, but it's kind of difficult to schedule a show every week with a panel, right? And align everyone, because everybody has lives and they have families and they've been locked in the house. They haven't been locked in the house. Brad Pitt isn't even sure if the sun is a thing. Brad Stokes isn't even sure if the sun is a thing anymore. I think the last time he left his house, I think there were probably still dodos alive the last time Brad Stokes left his house. So I think that's where we maybe should put a little bit more emphasis on those panel shows, right? Because it's tough to line up 3 to 4 people. I mean, I think we can all say honestly that building an agenda, easy, right? What do we want to talk about? Easy. Getting 4 people all together to sit down and chat, that's the hard part. And that's the one I really don't know how to fix.
That, you just said it yourself. There isn't a fix. Andy, what you got your finger up? Go for it.
We're being really hard on ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
The last 18 months have been effing nuts. One thing after another, individually, collectively, as a species on this freaking planet. And so the fact that we've managed to keep the flywheel going at all, kudos to all of us, right?
Colleen's got her family closer to the woods every week. She's like she's just further moving her family into the woods to get away from like the nonsense of the world.
I was also the first one to quit. So I was like, fuck this, I'm out. This is too much. So Andy's right.
Give us some more context.
It's a lot of work and it is hard.
So, all right, I'm gonna switch. Actually, Giff, I want to come to you, but first, I want to hit Janee, because our newest board member, who has again Leff. I didn't say, like, the fact that you're hearing these things shows that you're a broken, twisted, evil person. So Janee, you've spent the least amount of time on the board, but you've heard what we've done in the past, right? So, like, I don't know, like what do you think brought you here and makes you want to do more like fun stuff?
Well, aside from my undying love and devotion to Colleen, I agree though with what you guys have said. I think that the kind of the quality of the conversation, it's very real. The ability to humanize some of the harder stuff, kind of dig into the edgy, kind of more thought-provoking parts of this work, instead of just like, how do I build a bit of backlog? Like, I don't fucking care. I don't care. You can, I'm bored. Like, I'm asleep reading most of the stuff that's on LinkedIn and all that sort of thing. I feel like when I see some of our podcast episodes and when I see some of the stuff that's on Discord, I'm like, oh, I have a fire in my belly for that. The other stuff, it's just like a giant snooze fest. So I think we do a good job of unearthing the stuff that is not putting everyone to sleep. And I think we need to keep doing that.
Yeah, well, it's a shame because like Leff is here on the podcast and you're just openly trashing his work on LinkedIn that he posts several times a day.
I will say it.
I didn't say it, you did.
Shots fired.
You said it.
Shots fired.
I did not say Andy Cleff. Actually, I will admit right now that I paid for a stupid membership to O'Reilly 3 months in a row just so I could listen to one of his metrics classes more than once.
We'll reimburse.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Wow.
Do we have your Venmo?
I'll send it to you, Andy.
I'm looking back. When did we fire up Discord? Does anybody remember? Was it 2 years ago?
That
was an experiment.
It was like late 2019, I think.
It was 2 years ago.
It was way before the pandemic. So it was, I want to say it was like, well, when did we fire it up is a bit of a loaded question because Troy and I stood it up. I think it was 3 years ago, but it basically sat dormant and we didn't do anything with it. And then I think it was probably about 2.5 ago that we started to really try to use it. It was right when the discourse site started to really slow down. And yeah, it's got Andy Cleff. I could probably
It
go
doesn't
in
matter.
and look.
My point of trying to put a pin in the calendar is maybe our conversation began to shift because the interactions that we started to get on Discord filled something in us that we previously missed on the coalition site, the real-time nature of it, to be, not tied to email or logging into your web browser. I think that changed the lever a little bit about what we started to podcast about. And maybe we filled that need for connection and or therapy, depends on what you want to call it, with the conversations that showed up on Discord. Theory.
I don't know that you're wrong. I think
it actually sounds probably pretty right, actually.
Well, if you think about it, so what was Slack for us pre-Discord, right? Slack for us was logistics, it was conversation. Yeah, but it was only with our crew.
With the board, right.
It was just our, now granted, I loved all those conversations, and those conversations like saved my ass many, many, many days. Now it's just like I text most of you, or every now and then, or hit you up on Discord. I like how Leff, he just moves. Sometimes he'll like DM you from Discord, and then it'll be on Slack, and then he'll text you. He's like, you keep your eyes open.
Gifford does that to me all the time. I can never tell what fucking app he's talking to me in. I have like 6 chat clients open trying to figure it out. Like, where is Gifford?
So
I've been trying to mainly stick to Discord now.
But
I love how you just
before you jump on there, I think one thing to acknowledge too is Andy brings up a good point, and we're all kind of, illuminating to it as well. In the fact that there was more, right? We felt the need that there was more, and Discord provided such a great, robust experience that you could go in and complain about something, and you could vent, or you could seek help. Or you could get a response that was thoughtful, right? I'm venting about some bullshit that I was dealing with. And someone actually provided me some insight to help me, as opposed to just allowing me to vent, which was great. I think that platform for me has been such a great test bed of ideas, thoughts, comments, frustration. We've created or helped create the platform for a community. And I love the community that has emerged from an experiment that started out with a couple people sitting around talking about an idea 5-6 years ago. So
right?
It's just a collective think tank.
Yeah, we don't know what each other's titles are. We don't know what our bill rates are. We don't even know.
We don't even know what our real names are.
Wait, you're getting paid?
Yeah.
Who is?
Yeah, but
what would Murman say? What is Blue Weasel's real name again? Like, we don't even know each other's real names.
I know Todd's real name. All right, so you like.
I get it.
I know. Just an example. But I think I think Janee made a really insightful remark, and I don't even think she was trying to, when she said, when I go onto the Discord site, there's a lot of people having the conversations that I want to have, and it makes me feel energized. And it's not the rudimentary blocking and tackling stuff, right? Because you can literally find that anywhere. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that, because I'm sure all of us can teach how to write a good user story or how to build a backlog, right? Like that. If you look at the dialogue that happens, it's really become an 80-20, where 20% of it is the mechanics, but the 80% is and I don't want to use this word because it's a loaded word, but the coaching, right? The human interest interaction stuff. Like, Colleen, I'm stuck trying to get this guy to understand what I'm saying. What would you do? You know what I mean? Like that sort of stuff. The real situational, help me, I'm not waving, I'm drowning, I need some help. That's where we've kind of differentiated ourselves. And maybe the key to bring it around, Murman, is how do we put that energy into a weekly show, you know?
So I do want to say first off that you said earlier about logistics, and I have spent the last 4 or 5 months in a creative, like, I mean, almost like I'm not motivated to do anything of value, right? Like, just I've talked with you all in board meetings before just about how depressed I've been the last 6 months, 9 months, and it's like, I thought, oh well, my job sucks, and that's if I just switch to this new opportunity, like I'm not gonna. And then I realized, no, life just sucks, and it's not just the work that sucked; it's all of life that is hard for some people right now. And so I've not been motivated to schedule half of the fun ideas that we talk about on Discord. I mean, honestly, that's what we're hearing, right? Is that we have this real-time bullshit detector of, this is happening in my day. Is this a thing? No, that's not a thing, and here's why. Yes, it is a thing, and here's why. Maybe both can be true. And how about we have an open conversation and we stop having these religious wars of, this idea is the only idea, and don't you dare put down my idea, right? So, Giff, let me ask you. I'm curious. I specifically want to ask you this. You have a connection all the way to our very beginning. Not a lot of you all do, right? Like the very, very beginning. Right. Is there something you feel like we had that we lost? And I don't mean that as a bad thing, right? Because as we mature as people, as we do more content, like it's only natural that we're going to change. But is there something that we lost that you wish we hadn't? Because maybe that's fuel for this conversation as well.
Oh, I mean, have we lost anything? Like the variety of shows, the balance, like there was in the early days. I mean, so the 20th of this month, I believe, is when we launched either the Uprising or the podcast. I don't know, but it was in my Twitter. Like I pinned it, and I pinned it on the day that I tweeted it. And so like 9/20 sticks out. But like it's more the variety, and it is to everybody's point. It's hard to put together a panel show. It's easy to kind of get some of these interviews, but at the same time, that not having that balance of panel versus interview, because that was the thing that, and I go back to like just James 2016, not so much of the beard. I was a little lighter, but when I used to listen to Ryan Ripley and Agile for Humans and what that was during that time period, there was a lot of that stuff that we kind of brought with us when we were kind of doing some of the early days. There was the witty banter between, the collection of his friends. We had our witty banter of, rough riding a-holes. But we would mix in an interview there that was both enlightening and introducing people to new concepts, as well as not getting them and then some of those conversations that we would have would eventually kind of follow on to some of those topics that we would hear in an interview or things like that. So there was always kind of a balance of what we were doing, the manifesto signers, how we talked about things, the 12 Days of Agile series. Like there was a rhyme and reason to the way we did things. And I think we talked a little bit more about show ideas and series, and like the last thing we had a lot of buzz around was a lot of the one-man band Jay and doing the theory of constraints. But a lot of what Jay did in the theory of constraints series was one of those kind of eye-opening things to me, because it doesn't matter about Scrum. Like all of this stuff, it comes down to flow, it comes down to constraints, it comes back to organizations just being completely fucked up and nobody understands systems thinking or complexity theory. And there's a whole lot of stuff that we've dabbled into that if the common practitioner would actually listen to, they could spot and see a lot of these problems and start to strategize about how to pull different and change organizations or change teams that we've kind of lost out on, because there isn't that connectedness to like interviews and concepts and them being applied. But I will say that I was saddened by the death of the Discourse site, mainly because of just the sheer badass content that would emerge out of that in that blog format. And it sucked that it wasn't mobile friendly, but there's just as much enjoyment coming out of the discourse or Discord. No, I can't get them. There are too many D's.
Coalition site.
We know what you mean. We get you.
But the only nice thing that has been, like, I've got to spend time with Todd, who's the Blue Weasel. I've had time to sit down with Claudia and spend an hour just talking to Claudia about some of my crazy ass ideas with a lot of my experience.
You did that to her?
She got the full...
Did she ask for that?
Did she leave the camera? Yes. Was she actually there, or was it an AI bot? Maybe.
No, she was there. But like the fact that I've got to connect with people all over the world in different time zones, in different regions, one-on-one, to provide them some insights into some donkey shit I spewed on a podcast.
I wanted to mute him so bad, and I should have done it. Andy Cleff, please save us.
If you look back at our catalog, we've done probably a dozen series of podcasts.
Yeah.
So I beg to differ.
The scaling series, the transformation series,
Game of Thrones, or
we did 12 days of Agile.
Right. And so
which almost broke people.
That is not true. You take that back.
No, that for us, that was a tough one. That was tough.
We've been highly experimental. If we stuck to a single formula, I think we'd all have left and gone crazy.
Burned out.
I'll ask someone without any skin in the game. Colleen, should we drop the word Agile from our podcast name?
Oh, I don't think so. Oh, Jason, yes.
No, don't answer for him. Answer for you.
No, I'm excited with where everything's been headed lately from an Agile perspective. And I think Brad, you started to touch on this too, but it feels like before, where there was only one right way and I was going to battle you. Your way was wrong. My way was right. It feels like even from a practices perspective, we're kind of heading the same way that product is, where I don't give a shit how you get there. All I care about is that you get there. So it's like outcome-based Agile practices to some extent.
I will say, Colleen, that there is a couple of only one right answers, and that's if you're interested in a retro tool and which Kanban training should you use. So yes, there are absolute answers. I'm sorry that those are the only two that I know. Just those two, but none others, right? Again.
Can I just yes and on what Colleen said though? Because with what Colleen said is so true, is the religion, the people that are doing religion, which is, there is one right way, all hail the god of Scrum, or all hail the god of Kanban. They're the people that are being ineffectual and breaking people in the workplace. I mean, I in the end of the day, I don't care about the framework. I want to actually see teams and people build the right things in a timely manner without breaking them in the process. And it's really about the not breaking people in the process that's the thing that gets me going every day. I don't care whether it's Agile. I don't care whether it's waterfall. Hell, if waterfall works in your particular situation and it doesn't break people, sweet, use it.
Sure.
So I think what we've done, we use the word Agile, but we use the word Agile in the sense that, hey, we're going to respond to what's out there and the needs of the situation instead. It's not about the right way, the one true God, the whatever. It's what the hell works right now for you, where you are, that gets you from A to B with the least amount of breakage in the process and hopefully a whole bunch of growth. And if we facilitate that in any way as our little podcast in this little corner of the world, great, we're probably doing the right thing. And it doesn't matter whether it's an interview with an author. It doesn't matter whether it's the four of us coming on and having a good old bitch fest, because we're really struggling at the moment.
I think
we're helping make that.
Yeah. And we've had, even before, there were a lot of people that came on that were kind of adjacent. But like you said, focused on how to work and not burn people out. I can think of, I can't remember the guest that Troy brought on. That was like, wasn't there like a keto doctor?
He's had many bonkers guests that I have loved every single one of.
Right. But I think that fits very well with what Brad's saying, is like, there's a focus here on the people side of how we get things done. And that seems to be what resonates with everybody here and gets people excited to talk about it, and what gets people coming back to listen.
And I'm going to say that Colleen and Brad just made the argument without meaning to make the argument that we should remove the word agile from the title. And here's why, right? Agile has its own semantic diffusion, right? And like you said, Colleen, when you walk in the building, they don't want to hear about agile. They don't want to hear about waterfall or lean or Kanban or anything. They want to say, Colleen, can you help me deliver value, right? Can you help me grow my culture, grow as a person? And that's what we offer. This group, this Discord offers, right? It's all about growth and development. And we've gone past the whole teaching people how to do Scrum. So if what we're truly interested in is the growth and development of people, of colleagues, of friends, of delivering value, of using every tool and no tool to get where we need to go, my devil's advocate argument is, don't we kind of hamstring ourselves by putting that giant scarlet A in front of what we're doing? You know what I mean? Because as soon as you see that, someone's going to think.
I love how the word that founded our industry is now accustomed to adultery.
But I mean, I hate to be that way, but I mean, let's
always
be
are,
honest,
but that's
right?
why we love you, Jay. All right, Janee. I can't tell if you're flexing or not, like to be like, check out, because Leff is jacked. So if you want to flex, like he's.
No, I'm good. I'm just trying to be comfortable.
Yeah. Now, as the most comfortable person on this podcast, like, how do you feel about the word agile? What is it denote in terms of like our content and our community?
Well, I mean, I feel like, kind of to my earlier answer, I'm newest in the field of Agile too, not just newest on the board, but newest in the field of Agile to anybody here. I do feel like it ends up getting, I don't know, bastardized a lot. People kind of use it to, like jam that into like whatever it is that they want to do and call it agile. And then I think that ends up getting us to kind of where we are right now, with a lot of people being like, screw this then, whatever. Like, because I think you're right. It should be more like what Brad said. Like, agile is the thing that helps you get to what works best for you, so that you can get the outcomes that you're looking for, and that you're not, raking people over the coals in the process. That's what we all want. But I mean, as it relates to our content, I guess I don't know that I could say really, because I feel like there are days where I'm like, I love this, I'm all in, agile every day, all the time. And then there are some days where I'm like, what was I thinking? I'm going to go back to teaching preschool. Okay, see you guys later. So
I mean, Agile's dead to me. I mean, it is about shipping. It's about.
We've talked about that. Agile 2021 was basically them saying like Agile's kind of done.
Right. Go on, Gifford.
I mean, to me, it's old hat. I mean, the nobody ever gets to the principles or the values. They focus on all the donkey shit, and really, at the end of the day, it's about shipping product, delighting customers as efficiently and cost effectively as you can, and being able to do it when you need to do it. I don't necessarily think that Agile alone will get you there in the Fortune 100, where it's layers upon layers of just dysfunction and bureaucracy and systems put in place that just keep it. I mean, it just delays the inevitable shipping of value. It's like Jay, who didn't ship for like 3 years and spent like $1 billion. It was
more than that, wasn't it?
It was something retarded.
It was a long time.
But anyway,
1,085 days. Yeah.
But so just like Agile's dead. It's dead.
Well,
I'm okay with it.
You've made your point.
That's part of where my thought was going, right? I mean, if the grander audience is carrying now the message that Agile is not perfect, there's a lot of things wrong, right? So now you have like a quasi kind of revolt. It's starting to bubble, but I think next year will truly be the bellwether. I think next year it's going to go a bit nuts. Why not get in front of it, right? So think of technology trends and advancement typically come in 20-year cycles, right? 1960 to 1980 was the microprocessor. 80 to 2000 was object-oriented programming. 2000 to 2020 was agile and iterative development. So now we're getting past that, right? So the next thing is already out there. We don't know it yet. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm like, I'm Don Quixote trying to fucking
It might
joust
be
with the
Kanban though, Jay.
it really, no, you know what, Colleen? You know what? You might be right.
But
It really might be. You know what, Colleen?
Proconbon.org.
If I had to bet money, I'll bet you one Ethereum
Show
token.
sponsored by.
It's going to be flow. That's going to be the next corporate buzzword. It's going to be,
That is
do you
flow.com.
flow? Do you flow? Sorry, I'm menopausal. I don't flow. There's a whole
Oh,
lot
how
of
many
like
times
the
can
flow
somebody say
status
me high,
code.com.
check me high in a single sentence?
Yeah.
But I don't
Please,
think
everybody,
I
go to
don't know.
scatterspoke.com.
Yeah. I think all of us have been in the industry for however long you've been in the industry. We're all experiencing the reaction to the word. But I already think, to your point, Jay, I think we are disrupting the industry. I think we are ahead. I think this group has provided a platform to challenge the industry we're in and see what is next and what are the possibilities. So me personally, I don't want to abandon the name at all, because I don't think it's disconnected from what we do. And
Also, Agile's really
I
good
agree.
for SEO. There's a lot of great SEO.
I'm kind of just shit talking. I'm kind of rabble rousing. I'm kind of actually trying to be provocative and get everybody thinking.
no,
but
it's working. It's
Well,
working. And I've been saying this for a while, is like, I'm burnt out with Agile, right? Like brute force Agile. We've talked about this on numerous podcasts. We talk about it on the Discord. It's like, there's something missing, right? We're going through the motions. People are saying the things now, but are they embodying them in the way that we would hope to make change stick? Are we adding value? Are we delivering value? Do we talk about value? Do we fucking understand values? All these things, right? Like, this is what we do for a living. So I do think that it's kind of near and dear to me, because it does create connection and a focal point. So I don't know, moving away from it necessarily changes what we do. I don't know if it helps. Like, what problem does it solve by dropping Agile? Is it?
Are we focusing on the wrong word? Like everybody, we're focusing on the big A, but the second part of that is the uprising. It's the revolution. It's the people coming in with the change. So,
Wow, good point.
Well, I
Let's
think
just
the
get a
other
new
thing that
logo.
I heard Leff say though is,
Don't go there.
if our focus is around how do we help people understand the values, changing the name's not going to help that. It just dilutes the effort I think you're making around trying to change people's opinions of how to work.
True.
Yeah.
So if that's your number one goal, how do you come back to that, right? And I don't know. It does feel a little bit like switching it to flow, or anything for that matter. It just is starting all over with the same end state, trying to get to the same outcome with a different set of vernacular.
Murm, you're losing it. You have to come off mic. You have to share your with the listening audience.
I
It's
made
not fair.
Colleen laugh right when she was in the chat, right when she started talking, and I didn't need to do that, and it just made me happy.
that and a whole lot of nachos.
For everybody listening, Murm is being a dick in chat.
All right, we won't share the transcript.
I think we kind of agree that keeping Agile in the title does help, and it's a bit of a brand that we have kind of taken upon our own. So that's one discussion point we've had. We've also talked about maybe doing more of the panel stuff, right? Getting more people involved more frequently, as difficult as it may be. And if that, I don't know what anybody else thinks, but if that means we go down every other week because we're putting together an awesome show where we're going to all discuss, so be it. All
right. So I think we need to kind of round third base here. What I loved that I heard is maybe our name doesn't have to change. Maybe our content can shift a little bit, and we talked a lot about Discord. So I'll toss it out to the crew. Like, what should our community, the people that are listening, what should they do?
like, subscribe, hit that like button. Make sure
No.
you hit the ring
Aren't
the
you supposed to
bell.
Smash
smash
that
it?
like button.
You're
Bam.
supposed to smash the like. I don't know
Smash
why you
it.
can't just tap
This
it.
isn't YouTube.
Did you just
Smash that
did
like
you
button,
just
Sam.
do that?
No,
You couldn't have had an itch in both of
I
those spots on your body.
And I know Andy Cleff and I have done this like numerous times because there's like 7 or 8 copies inside the folder. But I think maybe one of the ideas we have is let's post one of our show notes templates out there somewhere that anybody can hit. And we just keep reiterating, hey, if you have an idea, if you want to have a discussion, fill that thing out and send it over and we'll schedule it for you.
Yep.
You know,
That's
I mean,
what I was
think
gonna
that's,
say.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to hear. I'm sick of fucking talking. I don't even want to listen to my own. I never listen to my own episodes because I'm all fat and nasally. It's terrible. But like, you know, if you have a good idea, come with it. You know,
You are not nasally.
How about Clubhouse? You know, I feel like that kind of provides the same asynchronous instant conversation that you're getting out of Discord.
Yeah, but we have voice
the
chat
voice
on.
channel. Yeah.
So I'm
Discord.
not.
I don't mean to keep cutting you off, Jay, but I don't know if if the community wants more, then the community can. We've provided all that avenue for them to provide us with that insight. I think it's everyone hates this term, good enough or just enough. We talk about it in refinement, right? What's good enough? We've hit that point and provided a platform for people to have, whether they want to have just rants, they want to have voice interaction, they want to have, just asynchronous conversation, whatever it might be. There's a ton of tech out there that we could start experimenting with, but do we need to at this point? Or have we hit a sweet spot where things are just kind of clicking and we're putting pressure on ourselves that may not be needed because we might not be solving a problem that's there.
I don't necessarily saw this conversation as needing to solve a problem. I saw it more of as an open discussion of where we're at 5 years in. What do we want to do different? What do we want to keep doing the same? I don't necessarily think that I heard groundbreaking or earth shifting ideas. We're just dial this up, dial this a different way. And I'm not hearing a problem either. I'm saying we are thankful that you all as a community keep coming back every week. We really, really, really appreciate it. That we love that we get new members every day in Discord. Our Discord has grown. I mean, we're getting close to 500 people, right? Maybe not all of them are active every day, but it's going to keep growing, right? So we appreciate what you're doing as our audience. Like the only reason why we're doing this is because we love talking to each other and we're thankful that you all want to listen, right? So we're just, if there's a nudge that we're missing, if there's a topic that you'd want to hear, if it's like, I want to come talk on it, like, there's never been more room in our podcast for our Discord community than now. Like we have room and space for you. Like it's not like we're struggling for content. We just want more of you all as a community. So come to us, right? Like, doesn't matter how many books you've written or never done anything, right? You just got an idea and you want to talk. That's some of the best members of our community. You know what I mean, Jay?
Yeah, well, Gifford, you gonna say something? And I think I cut you off. We lost you.
I think you froze.
Frozen. Spaceball 1 is frozen.
Yeah. Look, if we roll back the clock 5 years, right? And we put some money on the table. Hey, would we still be going 5 years after this first initial drink we had at the bar where somebody said, what if we did a podcast? How many podcasts do you think we'll do? 10, 20? We've done almost 3,000, 2,700 podcasts in 5 years.
No shit, really?
I think so. Do the math.
I'm not very good at that.
It's astonishing. And if you go back, like when the history behind this, and I
There's
think
no way we could do 3,000.
No, I think Andy Cleff had an extra 0, but I mean 52 a year,
It's
5 years. That's
276 entries
All
sitting
right,
in
so
LibSim.
math isn't my strong suit.
Well,
but I mean, and then you add
250
in all
the
the
decimal error.
3,000 are so
No,
close to each other.
So in
definitely
5
over
years, why don't we
300.
give ourselves a goal, right? So stick around for another 5 years. How do we keep going for another 5 years, for another 300 shows?
That's a lot of heroin.
oh, I mean, we can always just start using Marco Polo, and we post a topic, and I'll set up a Marco Polo, and then people just send me the random Marco Polos about the topic.
So you know what's interesting about that, Gifford? There's a professional platform in Marco Polo now that is a coaching platform. So that is another avenue. But I think going back to something you said, Andy, rolling the time, the clock back, like, I don't know if I think you were there, Gifford, when all this spun up. Like, it was literally the most random conversation about doing a March Madness around thought leaders and who started in Agile, right? And it was like this random kind of offering that just kind of took off. And it really did kind of spark, and there was no plan, there was nothing. This just kind of organically happened, but it was magnetic. It had this attractive quality to it. And I think that's to be weird, the third entity of this group is this attractive quality that people want to be a part of, because there is this magnetic quality that we provide, that people are interested and want to participate and want to be part of the group. And there's no exclusion in this, right? Like, everybody can share and talk, and it's just a very, I don't know, it just feels like the land of the misfit toys is where everyone kind of congregates in this group. And as some of the most insightful, intelligent people that I've had to work with or had the pleasure of talking with, it's been amazing. I'm like, wow, yeah. I am constantly getting fed knowledge through this open platform of people with similar kind of thinking. So I don't know if we need to do more. I think this is what we're providing is a lot, and I think it's been received well.
And it also feels genuine. I was just going to say, it also just feels genuine.
Love
and
it.
I think people really are missing that. So
yeah, I don't ever. It's good to not feel alone, right? I know that we've like on Zooms that we've all been on, we've needed to talk about that, but like our community helps me realize that I'm not alone. Like, whatever you're thinking, if you're thinking it, someone else is. So like, just be that you don't even have to agree. Like, there's many days where I just want to rage quit and close the app because I'm like, oh, why are they saying this? But like, it's just sometimes you just need that. Jay, you're our most faithful and dutiful host. I'm gonna let you bring us home. So what else would you like the audience to know about who we are, what we got coming?
So, if you like what you heard, please leave a review, a rating, or some feedback on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, or your podcast platform of choice, as it helps others find us. Shout out to Machine Man Records and Chris for giving us the outro song you were about to hear by an artist by the name of Krebs. If you like his stuff, find him on Bandcamp. Once again, we've talked about it. We beat it to death this entire episode, but if you like the conversation you're hearing, please find us on our Discord server. There will be a link in the show notes, and it's quite a happening burg. I think we're up at like 350 plus registrants and about 60 active a day, which is really kind of impressive. That means 60 people are actually logged in and looking at the server. So that's pretty wild. And we are committed to always being free, but we do have a Patreon. If you feel like chipping in, we'll have that link as well. So I guess on behalf of myself, Janee, Andy Cleff, Andrew Leff, Chris Murman, Brad, I called him Brad Pitt before, it's kind of fucking funny, Brad Stokes, and Gifford, and our special guest, Colleen Johnson. I'm going to thank all of you listeners for listening again. And until next time, this is the Agile Uprising podcast signing out.